Hi there everyone, and welcome to our July Google Hangout with the wonderful Katrina Pollard from Unknown to Expert. I've actually been following Katrina for quite a while on Facebook, and she's great to follow for fantastic little tips on becoming an expert, raising your profile, etc., etc. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted her to speak today, but she has also written a really great book as well. And I'm definitely a proponent of what she's going to be talking on today. I think if you can raise your profile, if you can go from unknown to expert, it's really going to help you in many facets of your business. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Katrina, and she can take it away. Hi Katrina, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks so much for asking me to be here. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
I'll just start the presentation.
Yep.
If I can.
Now we've just got to figure out how to start it.
Yay, we did it. Took a little bit of practice, but got there. So today I'm going to be talking about how to move from unknown to expert. And it's no longer enough to be good at what you do. You now also have to be good at telling people what you do. So when you're a recognized expert in your field, your target audience, your organizations, the people that matter to you start to take notice of you. And what happens then is that you get increased sales, you get more paid speaking opportunities if that's what you're looking for, more referrals, doors start opening, and amazing new opportunities that you never even dreamed of start falling in your laps. And I know this to be true because this is what happened to me when I started building my profile. And I'm going to be talking about using public relations and social media today and how it can make a difference to being a recognized expert and a thought leader in your niche. And, you know, it's really either you do it or if you don't do it now, you just every person, every organization has stories to tell, and amazing stories deserve audiences. And the stories that you can tell can be personal stories or professional stories or stories that let people know who you are, what you stand for, and what you do. And when you start telling your stories, they start resonating with people. And those people start developing relationships with you and start influencing and amplifying your role as a thought leader. And I wanted to just tell you a little bit about my story, because in my book I go into a lot of detail about something that happened to me at the beginning of my process of moving from unknown to expert. And I am naturally an introvert. I am, even though, you know, you think that I'm in PR, so therefore I am swanning around glamorous cocktail parties and everything. That's not the case. I've spent 20 years putting other people in the spotlight. That's what my job is, and I'm really good at doing that. And I realized one day that I needed to do for myself what I do for other people. And I found that really difficult because it's just not a natural thing for me to do. I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs around that. And one of the things that I started doing early on was I know how to write because that's what I do. And so I started writing articles and sending them to publications because I felt comfortable with that. But then about 4 years ago, I realized that I kept on saying no to opportunities. My profile was increasing a little bit, but I kept on saying no to spotlight moments because I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs around, was I good enough? Did I know enough? Was I truly an expert? And so what I decided to do was say yes. I started saying yes to things. And one moment in time was when it really changed everything for me because I had a pivotal moment about what being in the spotlight meant and what being an expert and being recognized as an expert meant. And it was where I had to get up and speak to 100 people, and I hated public speaking. I just believed that I couldn't do it. I had to get a lot of coaching, and I had to go through a lot of personal development to be able to get to this point. But I got up on stage, and I stopped, I walked across the darkened stage and literally into the spotlight, and I did a whole TEDx presentation around this moment in time and how it changed my perception of being recognized as an expert and being in the spotlight. Because what I realized was, when I looked out into the audience, I realized that I have this amazing knowledge and I have this experience and this expertise that should be shared, and that I can change people's lives. I can change people's businesses just by sharing my expertise. And so once I realized that being in the spotlight wasn't about me, it was about you and what you could take away from my words, it changed everything for me. And since then, last year I got $1 million worth of media coverage alone. I got asked to speak out in Austin, Texas with Michael Dell. My book was published. Like, extraordinary things, absolutely life-changing, extraordinary things have happened since I realized that moving from unknown to recognized expert was critical to my business success, but also critical to my personal development. So that's one of my stories. And the more that I tell that story, the more that people realize that you can also step into the spotlight, and it's really critical that you start thinking about doing that. So what I want to talk through is the unknown to expert 5-star system. And through my process of doing it for hundreds and now thousands of people, and my personal growth from moving from, this woman who was sitting in her sunroom in her rented apartment with her borrowed computer thinking, how am I going to build my business, through to where I am today. This is what I've learned. This is the system that I have applied. And I know that it works, because I know that it worked for me, and it worked. And it's worked for, hundreds and thousands of people. So I call it the unknown to expert 5-star system. And I consistently use this system with a clear intent to build my profile, and it's worked every time. And it can work for you too, because it's proven, it's reliable, it's a repeatable formula. And what I'm going to do in this hangout is share with you how this system works, and how I did it, and how I've done it for so many other experts and thought leaders. But the thing to realize and to think about as I'm going through this is that it's your time to stand in the spotlight now. It's your time to start acknowledging your self-limiting beliefs, and it's your time to start sharing your expertise and your knowledge. And I'm so excited to be able to share this with you. It's just such an amazing honor to be able to do this. So thank you for your time today. So the first star is figuring out the why. And sometimes this is a really hard place to start, because I believe that if your motivation is just about getting sales and promoting and being in the spotlight just for egotistical reasons, I really do believe that your audience will know that. So I just hide that. And I don't think that they will like it. So absolutely, we're doing this so that we can build our profile and we can build our expertise. But I think that there needs to be a more profound reason. I think that there needs to be a deeper reason about why you're doing it. Because I can tell you there are times when it's really difficult. There's times when you have to really make yourself get up on stage, or really stop what you're doing and do a media interview no matter what. So you have to have a deeper reason for doing it rather than just building a business. And for me, it was a personal development reason, but it was really because I know that I have knowledge that I can share, that can help people. And that is an absolute pure joy for me to be able to do that. So each time I get up on stage, each time I get the opportunity to do something like this, it's a joy in my day and in my week. So you have to think about what's the deeper reason for doing this beyond just building your business. And I think it's also important to understand that if you have any self-limiting beliefs around standing in your power, then acknowledge them and move beyond them. I think that you need to truly believe you're an expert, and you absolutely have to be prepared to tell people you are. So if you start, hearing yourself say things like, do I know enough? What happens if I speak to that journalist and I screw up? What happens if I get up on stage and forget everything and embarrass myself? Do I really know more than the next whatever person in your niche? If you're a coach, then if you're hearing yourself say, well, Sally over there knows more than I do, I don't think that I should say anything. You need to change that perception about yourself. If you're hearing yourself, am I truly an expert? Then you need to do some work on that. It's really critical that you move beyond those self-limiting beliefs and you stand in your power, because the more that you believe that you're an expert, the more that everyone else will believe that you are as well. And I'm not saying that you go out there and just say that you're a guru and you know everything. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that you have to be a professor to be able to be an expert. What I am saying is that we all have stories to tell. We all have experience. We all have knowledge that when we share it, it makes the world a better place. We all have opinions that should be shared as well. And the more that we do that, the more the world is a better place. That's one of my beliefs. So the next star is setting the stage. And thought leadership is more than writing just a couple of articles or saying you're a guru or you're an expert or doing a few speaking gigs. It's truly leading a space and serving as a resource for other people. And the first part of this star is developing your personal brand. And it's really critical that you do that. It's the foundation work. And it's about how you market yourself to others. Your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not around. It's essentially what you're known for. And if you're not intentional about creating your brand, other people will create it for you. So you probably don't know this, but people are talking about you now, whether you like it or not. There's so many times that people come up to me at speaking gigs and so on and said, oh, I've had so many people say that I should come up and, that I should follow you or that I should speak to you. And you're thinking about, well, what did those people say about me to tell you to go and do that? So people are talking about you. And so what you want to do is be very, very intentional about how you describe yourself, how people describe you. And I have an action step on my website, which you can download for free, which takes you step by step about how to actually develop your personal brand. So I suggest that you do that because it is a really important part of this star. The next is creating an elevator statement. So it's kind of like an elevator statement is, traditionally it's like, so you get into the ground floor and by floor 5, you can describe what you do. And no one's ever asked me what I do in an elevator, so I don't really know why it's called an elevator statement. But really what it is like when you're going to a networking function and someone says, so what do you do? You're not grappling for words. You can answer it really quickly. So a good elevator statement captures the listener's attention, explains the what and the why simply and clearly, and ends with an action call. So do some work on your elevator statement, and I call it the personal brand statement more now. So mine is I help people and organizations use PR and social media to achieve their dreams. So it can be very, very simple, but it's important that you work on that. The next is your key messages. So have some key messages around you as a person and your brand. So be believable. They need to be easy to understand. They need to be distinctive. What makes you stand out from the crowd? They need to drive your agenda, be positive, and be digestible. So short, concise, and to the point. So think about what you stand for, what you do, how you describe yourself in a number of different messages, and use that in the way that you know, in verbal communication, but across all of your websites and your blogs as well. The next is your bio. And oh my God, how hard is it to write your own bio? It's really hard. But now with social media, and if you're going to be writing articles, which I hope you do, to be sent to media outlets and so on, you're going to need to have a number of different versions. So a bio isn't a resume. It should describe and showcase your career, highlight the topics or fields that you're an expert in, and kind of sell, but in a genuine way. So you write a long one, a short one, and a micro version. And so the micro version is like, you know, your 140 characters that you use on Twitter. And the long version is what you might send when you're pitching yourself to a speaking gig. Or that's what you might have on your website. So show some personality. Don't just list what you do and what you know how to do. But say, for example, my LinkedIn profile also talks about the type of people that I work with and type of organizations I work with as well, because that's more of a selling version. And my speaking one will talk about a little bit about where I've spoken, and my micro version is just very, very simple. It's just, you know, CEO of CP Communications, author of From Unknown to Expert. And in my book, I actually give heaps of different examples of the long, short, and micro versions, because it is kind of difficult writing about yourself. And if you're struggling with it and it's never taken off your to-do list, get a copywriter to help you do it, because it's pretty important that you have a really great bio. The next is thinking about your target audience. So who are the people that matter to you? So your target audience has come down to who you want to help build your profile as an expert and thought leader. It's based on profession, industry, geography, interests, age, gender, but really it is who are the people that matter to your brand, personal brand, and your business brand. Who are the people that can be your influencers? Who are the people that can buy from you? Who are the people that you should know to help build your personal brand and help move you from unknown to recognized expert? So the next star is turning on the spotlight. So you've done some planning, you've done your foundation work, you've looked at your bio, you've looked at how you want people to describe you, you've done your work around your motivation and, you know, standing in your power. Now it's time to start turning on the spotlight and illuminate your role as an expert and thought leader. And this can be starting to feel a little bit, oh my God, do I need to go out there and do something now? And yeah, this is the time when you really start stepping into the spotlight. So I absolutely believe that every single person who wants to be recognized as an expert or a thought leader should have either a personal website or a blog. And I started doing my blog way back when it was called the Weblog, and it was originally called Small Business PR. Oh my God! And it was WordPress.org. I didn't even pay for hosting or anything. It was a long, long, long time ago. And that blog has turned into, it's called Public Relations Sydney. But I now also have katrinapollard.com, and I also have a blog on unknowntoexpert.com. So we also have socialmediasydney.com as well, and a blog on our website. So, and I also have just a small blog as a part of my website for my art that I do. So I have a lot of blogs, which does, I can hear you all saying, oh, how does she have time to update them? So I have a system with my blogs, and I update my personal one and unknown to expert, but I have people that help me do my company ones. So don't allow time to influence whether you have a blog or not. It's kind of critical. I've got clients from my blog that I didn't even have to pitch for, and they're like $100,000 clients because they read my blog. So it's really critical. And I've got so many media interviews from journalists who read my blog. I have Sky News, who ring me up and go, I just want to do a story on that blog post that you wrote about X, Y, and Z. So it's an amazing way of getting into the media. So have a personal website or a blog. It'll give you the opportunity to be able to promote yourself and be easily found. And I use it as a central hub. So whenever I have all my speaking stuff on katrinapollard.com, but whenever I post, you have amazing content to put across all of your social media as well. And it gives people an opportunity to be able to really see why you're truly a thought leader and an expert. Now, the next one is networking. And I very early in my business, I vividly remember sitting there going, I just don't know how I'm going to find people to do work with. And then and networking was pretty difficult for me at the beginning because, I'm not really one of those people that, I can now, but at the beginning it was like, do I walk into a room full of people and complete strangers and tell them what I do? Is that, is that really an easy thing to do? And I know a lot of people find networking and really difficult. But what I found is introverts are actually really good at networking because we don't talk very much in conversations. Often we're the listeners, and when you are having a conversation with somebody and you do most of the listening, they actually think that it's the best conversation they've ever had because they get to talk a lot. And so it's not about selling, it's about listening. And, a great networker knows that it's about building relationships. It's not about going in and, I have so many people that say to me, yeah, I did that networking thing and I didn't get any sales out of it. I'm like, it's not about instant sales. It's about building relationships. And I think women are amazing at this. They realize that it's not just about business, it's about life in general. So think about the synergies that you create there. Think about the people that can influence your brand and your potential customers. And my business is absolutely built on the relationships that I've built networking over the last 15 years. Without a doubt, some of my closest friends I've met networking. So it's really critical to really get out there and start networking. And I've got a resource guide. I've put this there. It's this really awesome resource guide that I spent a lot of time building and writing. It goes into, the 8 conversation starters and a whole bunch of do's and don'ts. So jot that bit.ly down, and it's a free resource guide. I've just put that there for you as well. And next is stepping on stage. Now, this is where it's just like, really? Do I have to do that? And no, you don't have to do this. If you don't want to do this and this isn't comfortable for you, then you don't have to do this. But I know that for me, this is what I really had to do to jump in and to build my personal brand. It was the catalyst for me because this is what I had the biggest self-limiting belief around. So you can start small, and this is what I did. I started small and I built myself into, up to TEDx, which was, pretty insane. So I started with, the local chambers of commerce and doing lots of free presentations, and I did so much practice. So think about where you want to speak, what your speaking topics are. There's so many opportunities to speak now. The thing to remember, though, is it's not a revenue stream. It's about you getting up and sharing something, and then you might be able to build a relationship from it, or you might be able to sell as a result of that. But it's not about getting up and selling. It's about getting up and representing yourself as an expert and a thought leader. The next star, star 4, is how to use the media to shine the light. And media loves experts and thought leaders. You know, every single day we pitch our clients in, and I pitch myself into as an expert, because the media absolutely needs experts and thought leaders. That's who they interview. So you can use a variety of PR tactics to build your status as an expert and understand how to offer your professional knowledge to journalists. So just a couple of tips. Stories have, essentially 5 elements to them. So it's about timing. So a story needs to be current. It's about prominence. So the more that you're known as an expert, the more likely people will, journalists will want to interview you, or the more that you have, the better your credibility, the more likely they'll want to interview you. Human interest really does evoke an emotional response. So quite often journalists will want to talk to you about things that relate to the human side of running a business or your humanity. So it might be challenges that you've overcome, how you built your business after having a baby. Just the human interest side is really interesting. Significance as well as proximity. Quite often they want to know if they'll do a story that relates to somebody in Australia, but they may not do it that relates to somebody overseas, obviously. So they're just a couple of tips with that. Some tips for dealing with the media is know the publication or the media outlet. Don't pitch a business story to Dolly magazine. Like, you really need to know your publication. Pick your time wisely. Have an idea about when their deadline dates are. Send it to one person per outlet. I just pitch a story idea to one person, and I tend not to do media releases. Make them want to know more. So, like, pique their interest. Have a really interesting hook. Get the journalist's name right. They will delete your email if you don't get their name right. Really personalize your hook, your pitch idea, and stick to the deadline. If they say, yeah, that's great, I'd love you to write a story for me, or yeah, I really want to interview you, you have to meet their deadline, because if they miss their deadlines, they will never interview you again. So what you can do is writing a media release, and this is like the most traditional thing you can do for public relations. So before you start you write a media release, so you have to think about what you want it to achieve. It has to be newsworthy, it has to be topical, and it has to be written in a really, really specific format. So I've got that free template, which you're more than welcome to download. With media releases, the only time you use it is when you want to send the same story, the same hook to a whole heap of different journalists at the same time. So you would only do that if you were doing a product release or you were releasing a survey. The thing that probably works better is a hook or a pitch idea. And that means that you're coming up with a specific story angle for a media outlet and pitching them an idea. And so this is what we do every single day here at CP Communications. We jump on a story that's happening in the media that day, or we create a trend. I, for example, was just on CNBC TV, and there was a survey that came out about how Australian CEOs just aren't using social media properly. They just don't get it. And so I pitched about how that in fact they are, and that there's so many Australian CEOs that are doing great social media, but these are the things that they need to think about. And so that was piggybacking, what's called piggybacking on a story that's already in the media. So there's so many opportunities to be able to do that. And next, and this is so easy to do, so many online publications really want and need content. So articles are just such a great way of getting publicity, and I try and write 1 or 2 articles a week. And I have a strategy of the places that I send them to. So every single week I'm in Huffington Post. Once a month I'll be in PR Daily. I write for Smart Company. I write for a million different places, but they're very strategic and very well thought out. So find those outlets where your target audiences read, and think about writing articles for them. It's really worth doing. And the final star is owning the light. And this is about social media. And with social media now, you are your own broadcaster. You own the light with this. It's a really critical step in developing your profile as a thought leader. It's such an essential communication tool, because what's so great about it is that it feels like you're communicating directly with your audiences, and it's unfiltered by anyone else. So say, for example, if you've got a story idea, traditionally you would have had to have pitched it to a journalist, but now you can blog about it, and then you can share it with your thousands of followers over LinkedIn and Twitter and so on. So you own it. The thing to think about with social media, where I feel a lot of people fall down, is they don't do planning. So think about how you want to use it. Think about what your goals are. Think about how you're going to measure your overall success, because it can be really time-consuming and it can be really overwhelming. So think about just do some objectives and some goals around your social media before you do it. So there's so many different social media platforms. So with Facebook, it's about creating community for customer engagement, feedback, brand development. And obviously with Facebook, you've got your pages. So you've got your business page and your personal page. And you can make a decision about how you want to use that. My business page, Katrina Pollard, or it's Katrina.Pollard, is really where I share a lot, obviously the work that I'm doing, but I share a lot of my tips, and I share a lot of my my ideas and my thoughts on that. And it's a really great page to be able to do that. But the thing about social media now, with Facebook, to remember is that you have to pay to play. So if you do have a business page, then you're not going to get all that much engagement on it unless you do some advertising with it. But it's still really worth thinking about. Facebook groups, I think, are good to think about as well. The next is Twitter. So it's about building connection and thought leadership, driving organic traffic to your website. With LinkedIn, if you're in a B2B business, then you really do need to have a great LinkedIn profile, and think about the people that you need to connect with and build your personal brand. You know, LinkedIn has changed significantly in the last 12 months, 18 months, and it's an amazing place now to build thought leadership. There's so many different things you can do on that. YouTube, and when I say YouTube, it's kind of videos in general, because you've got Vimeo as well. But we all know how amazing videos are. Facebook, 90% of our feed is video now. So even though video is really time-consuming, it's really worth thinking about doing. The thing to remember about YouTube, though, is that people won't find you on YouTube. You essentially just use it as a platform to be able to share your videos across other sites, your website, Twitter, and so on. Instagram is amazing for creatives, artists, wedding planners, florists, any organization that images relate to their brand really well. And of course you got Pinterest. 99% of people on Pinterest are women. It's so amazingly visual. So it's really, if your audiences are on Pinterest, it's really worth thinking about getting onto Pinterest. Just some tips to get the most out of social media. So I always use a scheduling tool, and I schedule as many posts as I can in advance, so I'm not constantly in social media. Have a strategy to help define your goals and your objectives, and develop relationships. Like, don't blast out promotional content. It's really critical that you see it as a relationship building tool rather than just what you get out of it. And you can post the same material across multiple social media sites. It's you might need to tailor it a little bit, but it's really great to be able to share across a number of different platforms, and it's really saves a lot of time. And as you can see, I use bit.ly, to bit.ly as my shortening tool, and it's amazing because you can create custom links. You can, you absolutely have to use this if you're going to use it for Twitter as well. So I've got a mini book that I've written about social media success, which you're more than welcome to download for free from that bit.ly link. So jot that down if you're interested in learning more about social media. So there are your five tips. It's moving to the first one is really thinking about your foundation and moving from there. So it's the first star is figuring out the why. Star 2 is setting the stage. Star 3 is turning on the spotlight. Star 4 is using the media to shine a light. And Star 5 is owning the light. And once you finish Star 5, the system is a pathway that moves you from darkness to a star that people see. They start to take notice of you because you are illuminated, because you've decided to do the work and step into the spotlight. This system illuminates your path to success. But the thing to know is this path is ongoing. Your star is bright now, and you're known as an expert once you go through this. But you have to constantly think about maintaining it. It's not about just getting there and then you're done it. It's about maintaining it and constantly sharing your expertise. And I think the thing to remember too is that no matter how you choose this information, and while it feels like it's a lot of information, it's all doable. But the key is to know that without action, you will achieve very little. It can be really overwhelming, and it can be a difficult process moving from unknown to expert. And at times it can be, you can just feel overwhelmed about the amount of work that you need to do. But I really urge you to move beyond feeling overwhelmed and into action. And it might be just one little thing that you do every day that propels you forward into the spotlight. Transforming from unknown to expert takes practice, it takes patience, and it takes focus. But the thing is, I believe that you can do it. And I absolutely know that the world will be a better place with the more people sharing their ideas, their opinions, and their expertise. So I've got an offer here that for you can claim a free book where if you go to that bit.ly expert free, I'm giving people on this hangout opportunity to get the book for free with postage. There's just a little bit a postage charge, but it's just for people on this hangout. So bit.ly.expert free, and I have a weekly expert inspiration that I send out on Thursdays, which gives some insight into the things that are going on with me and some ideas and thoughts and tips. So sign up for that. I love to write about the challenges that I've had and the things that I'm working on. So it's Inspire Me CP.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Katrina.
Thank
Um,
you.
well, I've got some questions for you, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to remind everyone else if they do have some questions, now's the time to ask. And they can do that if they're on the computer in the Q&A section on the Google Hangout, or if they're watching via the YouTube link, they can pop a question in there. So the first question is, and I think this is a really pertinent one, is how long did it sort of take you to get here? Because I think sometimes when people hear the information, they can be like really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But when they actually get in the perspective of sort of this is how many years it takes, then they can go, oh, okay, right, so I don't have to have all this done by next year.
No, this took me about 4 years. It took me over, a 4-year period. And I was really strategic in how I did it. Like I took action and I worked on it because I knew what I wanted to do. I think that what it is to, because I totally understand why it feels overwhelming. But I think the thing is to remember that, say with these stars, I've got an action plan. There's 32 action steps that are linked that you can download for free. That once you get through those 32 action steps, then you've got this amazing strategy. So you can just choose to do one a month, or you can choose to do one a week. It's entirely up to you. But I think the thing to remember is the more work you do, the quicker it's going to be.
Beautiful. And I so agree with what you were saying about speaking. And one of my favourite things that I love to tell my mums is that you can be at an event and you can meet 3 or 4 or 5 people at an event, or you could be speaking at the event and everyone in the room knows who you are and what you do. So I think, personally, I think speaking is such a powerful way of raising your profile and that of your business very quickly. You were talking about, definitely the challenges with you in speaking. So what were some of the different ways that you sort of utilised to get over your fear of speaking that maybe other people could also look into?
Yeah. So what I did is that I think the first thing that I did was I had to realize that I kept saying no, and I had to realize that that me saying I can't do public speaking was not true. That was not a true statement. And I truly believed that. It was the same as saying to me, I can't, because and I'm saying this now, I can't jump out of a plane, or I can't swim with sharks. Like I truly believe that to be a true statement. And what I actually had to do was a lot of work around changing that perception, because that's actually not a true statement. And I do speaking virtually every week now. I know that that's not a true statement. So that was the first thing that I had to do, was actually hear myself describe myself in that way. And that can be really difficult. That took me, I said that my entire life. No, I don't want to be head prefect because it means I have to get up and speak at the school assemblies. Totally, my entire life. The thing that I did was I sought people out to help me. So I had a speaking coach, Mariette Rups-Donnelly, and she was amazing with me at the beginning because she got me out of my shell and from a speaking perspective. And the thing that I did was I started speaking. And the thing with speaking is that you either do it or you don't do it. Like you can't just go, well, I'll write an article today and then I'll leave it and then I'll see how I go. I'll go back and edit it and da-da-da. When you're speaking, you get up on stage and you're there. Like you got to do it. So what I did was make sure that I spoke at places that were, I built myself up. And that's like when they asked me to do TEDx, even though it scared the hell out of me, and I went back to those moments where I was like, I can't do it. I knew that I could do it because I'd built, I had built my experience up from speaking, to a room full of 5, 10, 20 people through to being able to, live stream to 500,000. So I think it's practice as well.
Sorry, I was just talking and I was on mute. I've just got a question. Someone's asking, did you get paid for every speaking gig?
Oh, absolutely not. No, that's why I was saying that it's not a revenue stream. And I mean, it's something that I'm thinking about doing now. Most of the speaking I do now, I do get paid. Not all of them, but most of them, but absolutely not. Those first few years, and you know, it was not about charging. It was about practice for me, but that was my agenda. And for me, I feel like being on stage, it's about what you can get from being on stage, and that's why it's a critical element in building your role as an expert and thought leader. Because once you're a thought leader and you're an expert and people see you on stage and see you in the media, they want to buy from you. They want to book you for more speaking. They want to refer you. So it's the other things that you get from speaking beyond just that initial payment. But it really depends on where you're at in your speaking. I'm not saying let yourself be taken advantage of, but make that decision based on that particular example.
Beautiful. And one last question, and this is actually something I was talking about with people just the other day, and they were saying to me, oh, you've got to write a book, you've got to have a book, it's like a business card, etc., etc. So I was just wondering, do you agree that people have to have a book? And also, is there anything that having a book has given you that you probably wouldn't have been able to achieve in any other way?
I don't think that everybody should have a book, no. I know that lots of people have books now, but I don't think that. I think that it's a very, very expensive business card, because it's not about just printing the book. What I had to go through to get this book happening was insane. It's a very difficult process writing a book, so it's so much more than a business card. My God, so much more. And I think the thing is that just writing a book isn't enough. You have to wrap a business model around it. And so, like for me, it's like my product beyond my book. I've got an acceleration pack which has, thousands of media outlets listed in it. All of the media releases and the media pitches that I've earned millions of dollars from, and that people can just use and swipe for themselves. So that product is a part of a business model, where the book is the first product on it. So I think that you have to be very clever in building a business model around a book, because if you're going to do it just as a business card, then it devalues your expertise and your thought leader, your role as a thought leader. For me, having my book has opened up so many opportunities. I do so much media, and I do so much speaking, and I do so many podcasts and so on the back of my book. And it's really opened up a lot of spotlight moments for me. I launched my book in the US with Michael Dell at the Dell Entrepreneur Women's Network in Austin. That I gave my book to Ariana Huffington, and had a conversation with Seth Godin, who wanted to have my book autographed. And so, it's amazing opportunities have happened as a result of the book. And I think that was more so that I had a bigger picture to what the book was. I think what I've realized too is like 90% of people who get books never read them. So you need to sort of think beyond just the book. But without a doubt, it's opened up amazing opportunities, but it's so much more than a business card.
Beautiful, thank you. Now, if you want to try just sharing your
Oh, yeah.
PowerPoint. Just while I quickly say thank you to everyone for being on the Google Hangout today. It's been great having you. A huge thanks to Katrina for being on the call today and actually, yeah, shared way more fantastic tips and information than I was expecting. So thank you so much, Katrina. It was fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much for asking. It's such an honour to be able to do it. So thank you.
Thank you. And if anyone does have any other questions, feel free to pop onto Katrina's Facebook page and just ask those questions if you couldn't ask them or if something occurs to you later. And your Facebook page, Katrina, that they should head to?
Yeah, so it's katrina.pollard. It's me with my book in front of my face.
Yeah. So still the introvert.
It's like this.
Also, a huge thank you to Anita, my Google Hangout gal, who runs these literally from woe to go for me. All I have to do is just get on the Google Hangout and talk for a few minutes at the start. It's brilliant. So if you need someone to run your Google Hangouts for you, or if you just need someone to train you how to run them, she is fantastic. So thank you so much, Anita.
Pleasure. Anytime.
And don't forget, everyone, we do run these every month, and we will be sending you out the link for the next one now that you're registered. You don't need to re-register again, so we'll just be updating you every month. Don't forget, we also do have the Business Mums Clubs that run, many in Melbourne, in Geelong, in Shepparton, in Traralgon, 2 in Sydney, 1 in Brisbane. So if you're in any of those areas, please come and join us at Business Mums Club, because it's just amazing, lovely monthly support. You can get out of the house, you can have some, grown-up conversations. We all cry every now and then, and it's brilliant because we all understand and we don't think each other's crazy. And also, if there isn't a club in your area but you would love to have a Business Mums Club in your area, if you're interested or if you know someone who'd be great at running one, please send them my way, because I would love to have these Business Mums Clubs all around Australia for mums, so that we're not stuck on the computers at home every day isolated, but we actually can get out and interact and get that much needed inspiration and motivation every month. So that's it from us today. It was lovely having you, and hopefully we'll see you again next month. Right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to me. If you think that you would love to know when my next video comes out, you can. Just subscribe here or here or here or down there or somewhere around here. You'll see the subscribe button. Hope to see you again. Bye.